allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. All right, we are only recording tonight. There'll be no video when it's posted later for anyone listening. All right, first item on the agenda tonight is the approval of the agenda. Do I have any requests or changes to the agenda? Seeing none, entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
All right, do I have a second to approve? Second. All those in favor of approve the agenda say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved. Looking at the minutes from our meeting on April 28, 2025. Any concerns or edits about the minutes? Seeing none, entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the minutes from April 28th are approved. We have one public hearing this evening. This is Dell Road Musa Line Boundary 2025-05. This is an amendment to a comprehensive plan adjusting the municipal urban service area Musa boundary, updating the land use designations within the Musa boundary for 9 properties along Dell Road and General Road. Jeremy, will you be walking us through this request?
Yes, I will. Thank you. Thank you, Chair, Commissioners. The city is initiating this comprehensive plan amendment, and as the Chair mentioned, there's kind of 2 parts to it. One is the Musa boundary change, and the other is a land use change that kind of correlates with that Musa boundary. Kind of just give you an idea where we're at in the world here. Southwest corner of Eden Prairie, just south of the recently approved Marshall Gardens project. As some of you may recall, part of that project included improving Dell Road. Not necessarily part of the Marshall Gardens project, but kind of correlating or tying those 2 projects together. And part of that improvement to Dell Road is an expansion of sanitary sewer. One of the things that we noted, or was noted during the review of the permit from the Met Council, is that portions of the property are not located within the Musa boundary. The Musa boundary is an area within the city that's established by the city through a comprehensive plan process that identifies those parcels that can receive sanitary sewer services or municipal services. And so we need to change the comprehensive plan to adjust that Musa boundary. And then I do have in your packets was a current boundary of the Musa boundary and the current land use. So looking at your screens here, also including your packet, the light area here is guided low density residential, light yellow area, and the light green area is guided rural. Both residential, predominantly residential land uses, low density, not going to see any attached family units or subdivision in this area because of this change. But this is what's shown currently is our land use. And this kind of brownish line that kind of squiggles through the center of it, that is the current Musa boundary, the southern boundary of the metropolitan urban service area for the city of Eden Prairie in this area. Obviously, it goes beyond these 8 or 9 properties that are shown on your map. And I'll get to that in a minute, but we're focusing on really these 8 or 9 parcels that are addressed on your map here. What we're proposing is an adjustment to the Musa boundary, basically adopting the Met Council's understanding of what the Musa boundary is, which is this yellowish line here. And then the corresponding land use, as you know, north of the Musa boundary is low-density residential, and south is rural or parks and open space. The existing use of line is shown just for reference purposes. That will go away with this change. Excuse me. So really, I hate to use the word housekeeping a lot, but this is a housekeeping measure. We're adopting the Met Council's line for these 9 parcels, and we're adjusting our land use for those pieces just to accommodate that change. It's obviously part of how our land use and zoning is structured is rural property is not to receive sanitary sewer services or Musa services, and then so that's why we're changing those areas to be low density residential so that they could receive the sanitary sewer services. My understanding is we're just setting the stage for those properties to connect in the future if they so desire. This action here is not automatically connecting them to our sanitary sewer service. Just really allowing that pipe to go into those parcels. Obviously, on the west and on the east side of the kind of the subject area, the line, the MUSA boundary is a kind of a squiggly character that followed an old contour line. When we do our comprehensive plan amendment update in 2027, 2028, we'll correct that for the remainder of the pieces. We're just focusing on these 9 pieces so that we can get that permit moving along so there's no delay in that construction project. With that, we haven't answered questions, but staff is recommending approval of this modest change to our comprehensive plan, land use and comprehensive plan use boundary, just to kind of correct that issue for these 9 parcels. Stand for any questions.
Questions for the city? Yes.
Jeremy, is the city of Chanhassen or Chaska on the other side of the MUSA boundary,
No,
or is it just simply rural?
just simply rural. So Chanhassen is over here, and obviously there's no. So our MUSA boundary, and I don't want to draw the whole thing, but probably goes to the city boundary here. And Chanhassen may have a different boundary. They don't necessarily need to connect. Each city has their own boundary.
Okay, I think that's where I was just confused. The MUSA boundary doesn't necessarily reflect the municipal city boundary.
True. You can be in Prairie and not be in the MUSA boundary, the municipal urban service area. You can be both ways.
Okay.
As is the case now, anything south of that boundary line here, let me show a better map. Anything south here, you're obviously in the city of Eden Prairie, you're just not in the MUSA boundary.
Got it. Okay, thank you. And then you had mentioned that they don't need to necessarily connect into the city sewer by us doing this. They can maintain their own.
For a period of time, yeah, and I'll defer any questions like that to the city engineer. But this action is not intended to have them connect immediately. This is just changing our comprehensive planning maps.
But they may have to in a certain time period by us doing this.
Depending on whether or not they have a suitable septic system or features like that.
Okay.
How come it just doesn't follow the property lines?
Good question, Chair. The part of the issue is these parcels on the top of the parcel is on Turnbull. They really drop down from a grade perspective. So there may be substantial difference in elevation from the southern portion of this parcel to the northern portion of the parcel. And the MUSA boundary, as we've shown it here, with really these 4 lots, actually 5 lots, with 1,000 or 10,020, and then these 4 pieces, it doesn't follow the boundary, the property line. Those parcels, there's a bluff in our property, so south of that line it really drops down, so we don't see that as appropriate for urban densities, so that's why we drew the line there.
So it's kind of a topographical.
I hate to say that because we're kind of trying to fix that. We're really just adopting what Met Council believes is their urban boundary, while also balancing the goal of preserving the natural resources in that area.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. Jeremy, if a homeowner wants to connect to the sewer line, would that be at the homeowner's expense, or is that the city would take care of that for the homeowner?
It's usually at the homeowner's expense.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner?
Is there any zoning requirements that they would have to comply with by doing this? Are we not changing the zoning guideline?
Chair, Commissioners, no, we're not proposing a zone change at this time. The way our comprehensive plan and the way our zoning ordinance is set up is there's not a direct correlation with every every zoning district to every land use category. So in both of these situations, it's rural or low density residential, and there's a number of zoning districts that fit those criteria. So we don't need to change the zoning district at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Right. This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to come forward and speak for or against this request, please do so now. Good evening. If you wouldn't mind, please state your name for the record.
Tim McLaughlin. I live at 999 Delaware, Fort Myers. That's it. Last property where it kind of jogs through my property, the municipal line comes up into my property in that corner. How does that get compromised as far as the municipal line comes through? I imagine that's where the sewer would come through at some point in time.
So you're in 999.
999.
And you're wondering about the
Yeah,
little-
right there.
the clip
I have the
there.
property next door too. Those two.
These two?
And then you see down in the southeast corner, where it cuts across the property line, is that, then it comes back up. This is all proposed, just adjustment of the municipal line doesn't mean that's where the sewer lines are going to go in that direction, I imagine, until the Dell Road becomes accessible through the neighboring properties to the east, is that correct? Or is there a plan to do sewer before that happens?
Mr. Chair, these lines don't represent where the sewer line is going to go.
Okay.
It's just more a boundary of what properties are in.
So the municipal line cuts across the corner of the property instead of following the property line, then that's kind of a deviation from a property line. Or it is a deviation on the other ones too. So that was kind of my question. I just didn't quite understand the vagueness here. It's not a line of sewer line is what you're indicating, where they would go in, correct?
Chair, that's a correct statement.
Okay.
It's not where the sewer line.
And, yeah, and this is just proposed for the future at some point in time.
Well, the MUSA line is proposed. I call it MUSA line initially. It's a MUSA boundary. It's the boundary of the MUSA area. And we're just, in this area, the yellow reflects what May Council believes the MUSA boundary is. And so that's what we're adopting here. This actual sewer line and where services are going to be provided, that's a separate
So it's
kind of
more of an
discussion.
outline of what you can develop on those two properties for me, 998 density, single.
What we're proposing here is north of the MUSA boundary for 9998 and 9999 is a low density residential, which is our lowest, usually single family residential zoning district or land use guidance.
Okay. And so this is just more of an adjustment of the municipal line things.
Primarily that, yes.
And use over the area, over the total area. So, but you can develop all the way through the property. Is that how I'm reading this stuff? Or you can put a house or setting anywhere in the yellowed area? Is that a new guideline, like a new guideline for development versus the old Musu line, which is kind of a weirdly shaped curve? And then you had green, which is undeveloped.
Sure. Chair, that the developability of these parcels is independent of these two lines with the colors here. It's still steep slopes. If there's any wetlands on the property or soils, all of which may limit the developability of the parcel, that's independent of this.
Versus a pump station or something like that.
Yeah, I mean that actually may help because if the soils don't support the septic system, then a sanitary sewer network would be the only feasible option to subdivide if you wanted to.
Or if you build below the municipal, where the sewer line would be, you could build a pump station if you want to build lower down on the property and then pump it up to the sewer line.
Perhaps, yeah, but again, that's more
versus the other
details.
ones that couldn't do that because the municipal line development line was up higher, is that screwing the line before?
I think you're getting into more of the details of the
Yeah.
development proposal versus what this is more of a global look at
Oh,
what
okay, just a general
what's
look at
options.
it. Okay, I was just trying to get a little definition. Just curious.
I mean,
I didn't really have any, I've just kind of seen this and I just thought I'd come in. There wasn't any protesters.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move to close the public hearing.
All right, motion to close the public hearing, a second?
Second.
All those in favor of close the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is closed. So Jeremy, just understand, so basically that line, you can run a sewer up to the yellow line, basically. It's just allowing that. Through development and everything, that's just what it's setting as the boundary for sewer lines.
It's setting the boundary of where a parcel can be served. So yes, you can run something close to that line. You know, the house has to be there.
Yeah, that's okay. Any other discussion?
Jeremy, is it a fair statement as to the area in which Met Council would be willing, or the area in which Met Council would serve? That's what the use of boundary line essentially is, right?
Yeah, the Met Council establishes the boundary within the city, and their planning for their own systems, including wastewater management, are based on the developable acres and the intended densities within the use of boundary. We're effectively adjusting the line, but we're really not adding any developable pieces because the lots are pretty small. I think the overall change is 6 acres through all of these parcels.
All right, if there's no other discussion, entertaining motions.
Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Hart.
I would like to move to recommend approval for amendment to comprehensive guide plan adjusting the municipal urban service area use of boundary and the corresponding land use designations as recommended by staff, represented in the May 27, 2025 staff report.
All right, I have a motion on the table for approval from Commissioner Farr. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Taylor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Would anyone like to abstain? All right. Congratulations, Jamie. You can move forward. All right. Any planners reports? Steve?
Not a lot, just unfortunately I do have a couple single item agendas coming up. So I apologize, but I'd like to try to package them together as much as I can. But we have another comprehensive plan amendment and a new potential new bank coming. So starting up the summer busy.
Any members reports? All right. Entertaining motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Adjourn this evening. Thanks, everybody.